Hello everybody and welcome to Mistakes Were Made. Today we are going to do our cash stuffing for the first pay period of September. If you have been watching our channel, welcome back. I appreciate you checking in on us. And if this is the first video of ours you've seen, welcome. I hope you find something of interest. Just as information, we do budget the amount of money that is going to go into our cash envelopes. It's not a random amount depending on what money is available at any particular time. It is very specifically placed into the budget. We also do not fund all of our cash envelopes each pay period. Some are specifically just for the first pay period, some are specifically for the second, and then there are some that straddle both, so we do fund them during both pay periods. Let's take a look at what we're working with. We've got 100, 200, 300, 50, 400, 20, 40, 60, 80, 500, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 95, 600, and 5, 6, 7, 8. So $608 is what we're working with. And our first stop, so AAA, just as a quick stop, we do not fund it this time around. We do have a little bit of money left in there because we did pull the $147 out. We will be at $150 next September with plenty of wiggle room, assuming that the cost stays at $147. I was going to leave this in here, but I think I'm going to potentially put that into miscellaneous so that we are starting fresh during the second pay period when we go to fund that. Birthdays does not get any money, but car maintenance does, and it gets $100. And as always, there's cat or dog hair all over everything. All right, we have now 150, 250, 75. Is that right? 150, 250, 270, 275. We have a placeholder. We did put this money in the bank. So technically, it is actually $775. Oops. Today is the 3rd, barely, because it is 11:50 at night. I was super exhausted today, and then of course, as usual, I have gotten my second wind, so I am not tired any longer, and I will probably once again be up until 3:30 in the morning, which it's not great, but that's just kind of how it goes. Christmas, oops, don't want to take from there. Christmas gets $12. Oh my goodness. So we did a 10 and 2 ones, so let's get our 10. And then our ones, and now we can see what we're working with. We've got 50, 100, 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 85, 90, 95, 200. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. $216. And all right. Oh, For those of you who did have a long weekend this past weekend for Labor Day, I hope it was a good one, that you were able to do all the stuff that you were wanting to do. If you had to work, I am sorry that you had to work on the day that was supposed to be, you know, for laborers. Clothing we do not do anything with. I had the joy of listening to my neighbor who was having a party because it is their birthday, and every year they do karaoke out in the yards. I'm glad they have a lovely time, but oh boy. So many songs that I love that just didn't quite sound great, but you know, I'm sure they had a wonderful time. So we get $50 for dining out. This is the only time we fund this, so this does have to last us for the entirety of the month. And the same thing is true for entertainment. Oops, I need another 20. So we got $50 there. We also, I was hoping to get some more of this inventory stuff up in my Etsy shop, just because I gotta get that going. We're never gonna clear stuff out and of course be able to, you know, sell it if I don't get my butt in gear, but I have not done it. So Garden and Yard gets $25, so we'll add, okay, we need a $5 bill to go with that too. There we go. So we've got now 20, 30, 45. Speaking of the garden, it is definitely starting to give me tomatoes, which they have been green for so long. So now we are starting to get more than we can deal with at one time. We've already got 1 gallon bag in the freezer. We will use those to, you know, make sauce and soups and stuff like that when we have some more time. Mr. M is just chomping at the bit for his peppers to come in a little bit with more ripeness. And we're also waiting for our cilantro to get to a mature enough stage so that we can harvest it. He does have plans to make hot sauce as well as salsa. I'm really looking forward to it. I don't like cilantro, so that's never a favorite for me, but we will be in a position, if we can get the cilantro to get where it needs to be able to make completely homegrown salsa. We've got the peppers homegrown, tomatoes homegrown, garlic homegrown, and onions homegrown, and then the cilantro is just what we're waiting for. There will be salt and some other spices that I guess we can't technically call homegrown, but for the most part, I think it counts. So we also have a ton of basil out there. I want to get that in the dehydrator, at least some of it in the dehydrator, so that we can get it and crumble it up a little bit, because our dried basil spice jar is empty. We did use some. We used up the last of our dried basil. Gas needs to get $100, by the way, because we made bruschetta in a jar. I don't know if I mentioned this during a different video, maybe even during the garlic video, but I was very excited to make bruschetta in a jar. Unfortunately, my excitement was because I was thinking of a completely different food. In my mind, I was thinking tapenade, even though they were completely different ingredients. And it didn't trigger anything when I was, you know, cutting up all the tomatoes. Nothing really struck me. I was just like, oh, okay. And so, I made it. And two of the jars are fine. One of them didn't seal quite right, so it's in our refrigerator, and we're gonna actually have some this weekend because we're gonna do a little mini game night with Mr. M and just Mr. M and myself. And he's either going to bake some bread or he's gonna go buy some. I can't remember what he said, but it wasn't until I had actually finished making it, had checked the jars and found the one that wasn't quite right, quite sealed. And so I opened it and I tasted a little bit, and it tasted fine. But I'm like, man, that doesn't really taste like what I'm thinking of. And then it hit me that I was thinking of tapenade and not. So, we're going to use it. It's fine, but mercy me. I was a little disappointed because I love tapenade too. Unfortunately, Mr. M's olive trees do not olive. And honestly, I don't know what we would do with them if it did. We don't know how to cure olives or anything like that, but it's not an issue because they're not oliving. Giving gets $5. Let's see, what else have we been doing? And I think I made a comment on one of the videos, and I don't know if I mentioned it in a video until now. We made basil pepper jelly, which turned out really, really well as far as I can tell. This was the first time I've ever made jelly. I've never had pepper jelly before. This was a new thing. I was watching one of the homesteading type channels that I like, which have become few and far between, I must say. And she was making basil pepper jelly, and I was like, oh, we got a bunch of basil and we got peppers, so why not give it a go. It's got a nice sweetness to it. The peppers aren't super spicy, but that's probably just because of the peppers that we used. It looks really pretty in the jar, but not having really used jelly beyond like a grape jelly, the jelly felt a little dry to me when we decided to try and use it. I don't know if that's normal. No clue. I don't have a good frame of reference for it, but it was very crumbly. So I don't know if we over pectinized it because we used the Pomona pectin. And I don't know. All I know is it sat just perfectly, and it works just fine. It doesn't have any weird or unusual taste or anything. It seems like it's okay. It's just the consistency of it, I thought would be a little bit slippier. I don't know. So anyway, we have $10, $15, $20 for giving. I think in the long run, it doesn't really necessarily matter because it does taste good. Mr. M wants to do some grilled chicken and put it on top of there. So maybe with the heat, it will kind of give it a little bit of a melt. And so maybe it'll be a little bit different that way. Groceries, we do $200. So there's that. I'm trying to think if there was anything else exciting that happened this weekend. I'm going to say probably not. Probably not. We had talked about going, out and hiking this coming weekend, but I don't know. We're trying not to spend money because we really want to meet the goal of not just paying off the Reflect card this month, but do it in a way where there'll be some leftover money for debt that we can start, jumpstart the process on Discover as well. So that's why the game night came about. Health gets $10. We're also trying to figure out, I've been watching Ramit Sethi, I think is his name, Ramit Sethi. And one of the things that he talks about quite a bit is, what does your rich life look like? And I think that's a great question to ask. 10, 20, 30 for health. Because, being rich or having a rich lifestyle obviously means different things to different people. I mean, you could go with the generic, hey, you have more money than you can ever spend in a lifetime. But I don't know that that's a realistic goal for most people. We're going to do $25 for household. So for me, I want to be able to comfortably be able to spend money on things that I truly want and need, not just, blowing it off on a whim of something, but things that I truly want or need, without being worried about the cost of it and whether it's going to cause us any problems. I absolutely want to get this house paid off because I do not want that uncertainty of, will I have a roof over my head? Just looking around not in our area specifically, but just as we're driving around, we do see, unfortunately, a lot of people who are homeless. And I know that that's for many, many different reasons. But it is an issue, not just here, but in many other places. Costs for housing are astronomical. Obviously, the job market and job situation is very uncertain right now. So many people are getting laid off. Hey. And so for me, part of my rich life is having that secure place to live. And I personally will not feel secure until our house is paid off. So we've got $25. We are done backfilling our IOU to ourself for household. We're going to try and avoid having that situation be a situation in the future. I want to be able to do trips. I'm not really big on flying, so it's not necessarily international trips, though I would love to see the pyramids. I was very much into archaeology and mythology and stuff like that when I was younger, so I'd love to go to, Greece and Italy, all those places that have the old architecture, the old statues, steeped in mythology and history and things like that. Would love to do that, but I could certainly live without going outside of the United States, but I do like the idea of just doing road trips. I don't want us to get an RV or anything like that. If we could get one of those little van things, I think that would suit us much better. We don't need a lot of space if we're doing it temporarily. And obviously this would probably be happening after our pets have moved on. So we wouldn't have to worry about figuring out things for 4 dogs. But I want something that I would feel comfortable driving and that he would feel comfortable driving. And I already know I am not going to be able to drive one of those big old RVs. That's not for me. Not for me. License and fees. This is, we have changed the amount that we're contributing, so it's going to be $11. So we're going to do, yes, we are going to do 2 5s and a 1. I almost threw myself off there. So that's included in there. I want the ability and the time to be able to do that. That's a huge piece as well. I would love for us to be able to purchase just some land. It doesn't have to be anything special or fancy. so that we could take, you know, some kind of vehicle and go camping on our own land, but it'd be away from where we live, so it's an actual adventure. But obviously that's got some cost to it too. So I'm not as in love with that idea, but it is something that we have talked about. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 75, 85, 95, 100, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, $131. And that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, if I'm dreaming big, I would love to buy a place that has like a minimum of 5 acres, maximum whatever. So just land, have a place to have garden, maybe build our own home to our exact specifications. Would love for it to have, you know, some kind of water coming through it, especially if it had, you know, fishing options to go with that. I do not like fish, but bet your sweet bippy, if we can get fish, we'll let Mr. M do the fishing. I will eat it because we got it on our own land. There is a wonderful invention called tartar sauce, and I am very liberal with its usage. Miscellaneous, we have some money in there, so I'm gonna pop it out, and we're gonna leave this out to the side, and we'll just put that right there. Pets, we do not do this pay period. But yeah, so that's one of those pie in the sky dreams. I don't know. Be able to retire, not have to work, be able to do all of this great fun stuff without having to work anymore would be obviously a dream and what I would consider a rich life, because obviously we would have set ourselves up to make that a possibility. Prime. We got prime and savings, neither of those get anything right now. So last but not least is taxes, and that gets $20. Where is our tens? There we go. So yeah, so now we've got 50, 100, 20, 40, 60, 80, 200, 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 300, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32, $332. And what I think we're going to do, because even with this amount of money, we are still just a smidge behind where my spreadsheet calculations say I need to be based on how much I've sold on Etsy and what we're thinking the tax cost is going to be. I think we will go ahead and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll go ahead and take this $6 and add it to here as an additional infusion. So we will actually be at $338. I think we're still like a couple dollars shy, but I'll have to double check that. And that is kind of what I'm looking at doing going forward. Either if we have extra, depositing it into the bank to help then further along our debt payments, or and I think if it's going to be something like that, we'll need to be looking at monies in like $20 are up or $25 are up. If it's less than that, then I think we're going to look at starting to try and put some extra filling into some of these funds, just to try and get ahead just a little bit, especially if they are ones where there is a limit to get to. If it's one like gas or groceries or even dining out, then we're not going to put extra in there. Let me find where miscellaneous is going to go. Right after license. We got our junk stuff. And then we have yard cleanup. So this all stays online. We haven't actually done the transfer yet, but it will be coming some point next week. I believe on the 8th. It's either the 8th or the 9th. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the coins so that we can keep track. We've got a long ways to go for this particular long-term goal, so we'll be at it for a little while. That is, of course, something else we could put some of this extra money into if we wanted. We are currently at $400 with our goal being $2,500, so little ways away. We are putting $200 per month towards the goal, so progress is being made slowly but surely. And that is the last of our cash envelope stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate you taking the time. I know that cash stuffing videos, at least these days, aren't necessarily as popular or as interesting as maybe they used to be in the past. I'm just judging that from other channels that I've been watching and listening to. But I appreciate everybody who does watch, and I certainly understand that some things are just not going to be as interesting to others, and that's totally fine. So thank you, those who have watched, and if you have any suggestions, feedback, have any questions for us, things like that, of course, do not hesitate to note those down below, and we'll see you in the next one.